My name is Claire Donovan, and for the last 11 months I've slept alone. My husband, Ethan, died on a foggy March morning, or at least, that's what they told me. Grief is a strange thing. It rearranges your memories. It makes ordinary objects feel haunted, but nothing has haunted me more than our bed. Because last Tuesday night, I walked into my room at 2:13 a.m., heart pounding for reasons I couldn't name, and stopped dead in the doorway. Ethan's pillow was cold, but still indented, like someone had been lying there minutes before I walked in. And that tiny, impossible dent in the fabric opened every wound I thought I had already stitched shut. We lived in a small coastal town in Oregon, Mariner's Bluff, where fog clings to everything and the ocean wind feels like a whisper against the skin. Ethan and I had been together 12 years. Married for 8, he was steady, calm, the kind of man whose presence made you feel anchored. We had rituals: Sunday pancakes, Friday movie nights, morning coffee on the porch. And then one morning, he didn't come home from his early run. Police said he must have slipped off the cliff trail, too close to the edge, rocks unstable from rain. By the time the rescue team searched, the tide had swallowed everything. His body was never found. For months I wandered through the house like a ghost, his mug untouched, his books beside the bed, his pillow perfectly smooth. Until the night it wasn't. That indentation wasn't natural. I knew how he slept. The dip was his shape, his exact shape. And something deep inside me whispered, he was here. Or someone wants me to believe he was. The next morning, I stripped the bed, hoping I was imagining things. The indentation remained, even without the pillowcase. I pressed my hand into it. The foam didn't rise. It was as if weight had been there for hours. Trying to distract myself, I opened the bottom drawer of Ethan's nightstand, a drawer I avoided because it carried the scent of him. Inside was an envelope I'd never seen. Old, yellowed, edges worn like it had been touched 100 times. My name was on the front. Claire. Open only if something feels wrong. It was Ethan's handwriting. My knees buckled. I sat on the floor, shaking, and opened it. Inside were 6 words. The truth is closer than you think. And beneath the note, a photograph. A grainy picture of Ethan standing with a woman I didn't recognize, her arm around him, his expression tense, forced. The back of the photo had a date. March 1 st. 3 days before he died. My mind spiraled. Had he been having an affair? Was that why he left early that morning? Or was something else going on, something that made him write that note? The indentation on the pillow suddenly felt less like grief, and more like a warning. I took the photo to the one person who wouldn't sugarcoat anything, Detective Mara Hensley, the woman who handled Ethan's case. Her office smelled like burnt coffee and old paper. She squinted at the picture. "Where did you get this?" "His nightstand." Hensley frowned. "That drawer was empty when we processed the house." My stomach twisted. "So you didn't put it there?" "No." She slid the picture under a desk lamp. "That woman," she pointed at the stranger, "is named Sophia Lorne. She filed a missing person report for Ethan 3 days before you reported him missing." I blinked. "What? Why would she?" "She claimed Ethan was in danger. That he'd told her he was being followed." Followed. My heart thudded painfully. Hensley leaned back. "She withdrew the report the same day. Then left town." A red herring. A sudden other woman. A hint of infidelity. But something was off, deeply off. Ethan wasn't a cheater. He wasn't a liar. He was scared. And whatever he was running from, it was still here. Because when I returned home from the station, the pillow indentation was deeper. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the pillow, heart hammering. At 3:17 a.m., I heard it. Footsteps. Soft. Measured. Exactly Ethan's pace. Heel first, then toe. They approached the bedroom door, stopped. And then a whisper through the wood. Claire. My blood froze. That voice, it wasn't a ghostly echo or a hallucination. It was human. Real. Alive. I grabbed the only thing near me, Ethan's leather journal, and swung the door open. No one. But the hallway window was cracked open, curtains swaying. Someone had been inside. Shaking, I opened the journal. Ethan wrote almost every day, but the last entry was the one that made my breath catch. March 3rd, 11:44 p.m. If someone is reading this, it means I didn't make it back. I'm being watched. They want something from me. Something I found by accident. I don't know how long I can keep Claire safe. If they get inside. The sentence ended mid-stroke. The rest of the page was violently ripped out. Below the tear, in faint pencil. Check the lighthouse. The lighthouse. The old abandoned one on Reef Point Cliff. Where he used to run. Where he allegedly fell. I threw on a coat and drove into the fog. The lighthouse loomed like a giant shadow against the crashing waves. Inside smelled of mildew and salt. My flashlight cut through the dust and darkness. Climbing the spiral stairs, I found something at the top that made my breath leave my body. A mattress. A blanket. Water bottles. A small burner. Someone had been living here. Someone alive. Then I saw it. Ethan's jacket, hanging on a nail. My legs nearly gave out. I grabbed the sleeve. It was warm. Footsteps sounded behind me. Slow. Careful. I turned. A man stood in the doorway. Face gaunt. Eyes exhausted. Ethan. Very much alive. I choked on a sob. Ethan? Oh my God. He rushed forward, covering my mouth. No time. Claire, listen. I grabbed his hand. You're alive. Why didn't you come home? Why the pillow? Why? I was trying to warn you. His voice broke. They're watching the house. They want the flash drive. The one I found at the research lab. I didn't know what was on it until it was too late. What's on it? He looked over his shoulder as if expecting someone. Evidence. Real evidence. Proof that Dr. Harlow was running illegal trials. People disappeared. Claire. Dozens. I stole the drive to expose him. He sent people after me. My heart pounded so loudly it hurt. I didn't die. I staged it. I thought you'd be safer if I was gone. Ethan. He grabbed my shoulders. We need to go. Now. But before we could move, a cold voice echoed from the stairs. Too late. Detective Hensley stepped into the room. Gun raised. Smile wrong. Eyes empty. Just like she wasn't herself anymore. Ethan stepped in front of me. You don't have to do this. You stole the drive, she said calmly. And then your wife started digging. You should have let her believe you died. She fired. Ethan shoved me behind the central pillar. The bullet hit the metal railing, sparking. I grabbed the old emergency flare gun mounted to the wall and pointed it at her. Back away. She fired again. The bullet grazed my arm. Pain exploded through my body, but my grip tightened. I pulled the trigger. The flare shot forward in a blinding red streak, hitting the old oil drum beside her. It ignited instantly. Flames roared up the wall. Hensley screamed and stumbled down the stairs. Ethan grabbed my hand. We have to jump. The window looked out over the cliff point 30 feet down, waves crashing like thunder.
We'll die.
His eyes locked on mine. Not tonight. Trust me. We leapt. The ocean swallowed everything. I woke up in a hospital bed 2 days later. Salt in my hair. Pain everywhere. Ethan was beside me. Alive. Bandaged. Breathing. Smiling for the first time in almost a year. Detective Hensley survived the fire, but the investigation that followed exposed her connection to Dr. Harlow's experiments. There were others involved, people who hid in plain sight, people who thought Ethan was dead, people who thought no one would look for truth in a cold pillow. We're in witness protection now. New names, new town, new life. Sometimes, late at night, I still wake up and look at Ethan's pillow. Warm, smooth, perfectly normal. But I remember the beginning of everything. The night it was cold but still indented. And I'll never ignore a pillow again. If the person you loved most could return from the dead, would you still trust them if the truth that saved you is the same truth that destroyed your old life? Tell me, what would you do if your loved one's pillow looked freshly used after they were gone?